Okay, tomorrow me is gonna hate me for this because it's already 11 p.m. and I have sat too long thinking about it and I realize it just needs to get out and then I can go to bed. I've been watching Equilibrium. It's from like 20 years ago, I think. Seriously underrated. I don't know why I didn't hear about it at the time, but apparently the critics didn't like it. Do we care what critics think? Not really. But yeah, no, Equilibrium. The basic idea, if you don't know, is they're living in this sort of dystopian world where no one is allowed to feel emotions to the point that everyone is taking a drug that numbs them to everything. And if anyone is caught not taking those drugs and having emotions and having art and music around them because that's all related to emotions, they are taken out brutally and without mercy. So you can imagine, as someone with schizoid personality disorder, but also as someone who is healing from it, this is like the movie for me right now, I think. So I think it was a really fun movie regardless, but I do think I'm also biased. In terms of okay, why is it good being non-biased? Well, I guess 20 years later, there's that whole thing about, what's Ben Shapiro is facts don't care about your feelings, but then there's the reverse of feelings don't care about your facts that he never thinks about. So I have that in mind, I guess, and if you look at the way that our society is having that kind of argument, maybe there's something in there. I don't know. I'm talking garbage off the top of my head. No, there's some really fun action scenes, okay? Even if you think the story is garbage, the action scenes are really fun, and the way they build up is fun because they establish kind of what's going on, but then they ramp it up as things go on and it gets more and more awesome. It has that sort of when The Matrix came out, that was pretty cool, but this is some shit I ain't seen The Matrix really explore. It's taking some things to the next level. But I don't know, I kind of remember the two Matrix movies that came after the first one, what they actually did there, apart from flying around Dragon Ball Z, Superman, whatever. I think I was a bit less into those ones compared to the first movie. I don't know, it was a long time ago, I'm old now. I don't know, okay, so getting into my bias, because I think that's where my brain wants to go, and I just wanted to make an attempt at being hey, guys, watch this movie without my biases. I do think the story's good. There's a few things that were kind of obvious, don't look at the man behind the curtain, kind of obvious. But, okay, getting to the biases, why this movie is making me go, hey, at this point in my life. As someone who is schizoid and recovering, a world without emotions. And then I should have said at the beginning, spoilers, because I'm not going to be able to help myself. The main character going through the process of starting to have emotions and then the consequences of that and all. That's where I'm at. And it's I think, I don't know about these critics who didn't like it. They thought it was unoriginal or whatever. And I get it, there's been dystopias for ages. There's been thought crime since 1984. 1984 is such a boring book, though, I have to tell you. I tried reading it. I actually did slog through it. And I'm just I get it. The ideas are interesting, but the book itself is boring as fuck. I don't know, do critics prefer 1984 to this movie? This movie was much more fun to watch. But yeah, no, one thing I wonder is, normal people who aren't schizoid, who have regular emotions, which, the more I learn about my own disorder, the more I'm holy shit, people feel a lot of stuff, and I just can't, as much as I have made progress, it seems to me from observing that people still feel heaps more, and I just can't imagine it. So when I think about what the average person, how they might experience emotions, I can kind of see that they might not find the world or the main character at all relatable, or even be able to understand what it's like to not feel so much, and to just be numb and not care. I don't know, maybe that's just too hard and too alien for them. I wonder about that, because sometimes there are things that make sense to me, but then I realize other people don't like it or don't feel comfortable about it because they can't relate to it. There are some weird movies and things out there, Like, even the other movie that I posted in my community tab, Dark City, I think at the time people didn't like, but it became a kind of a cult thing. It got overshadowed by The Matrix, which came out like the year later or something like that. I don't know. But like, that kind of weird aliens and, you know, twisted reality stuff. If it had been an anime, people would have raved about that movie. But because it was like white people's live action, it's like what I could gather is people were a bit uncomfortable about it in some way. But for me, like, as someone who, like, you know, it had the telekinesis. How you can't, I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. And, yeah, like, you know, these sort of, he thinks he wakes up and he thinks he's a serial killer or something. And I'm just like, that's all me. I know I'm rambling because I'm just trying to sort out thoughts at 11 p.m. when I really should go to bed. I just recovered from a migraine like yesterday and still had a bit this morning, and now I'm like, hey guys, my poor brain, look, I have mental illness. I'm sorry. This is where my brain is right now. Yeah, no, I think like there are certain things about Dark City that I found relatable, that I think like normal people who want to just believe that they're normal and not have these crazy, like, I think I don't know if Wikipedia's changed, but when I was first looking up Schizoid, there were some things about the gigantic ego that Schizoids pretend not to have, but it's really there, and there's, you know, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Giant ego, grandiose, like, you know, there's apparently a lot of Schizoids have these big fantasy worlds, and I don't know, normal people, maybe they don't have it, and maybe they're in denial, and the idea of having a massive ego like that makes them squeamish, so when they see something that makes them feel that way, they're like, oh no, we gotta push that away, that's not appropriate for us to feel. I don't know. I just... it takes me back to 9/11 and all the kids looking up the photos of people jumping out of the building and, you know, the announcement there. That's like when I realized I was different to other people. But then also thought people were in denial because, like, why are they looking it up? The school was like, and the teachers were like, oh, they're looking it up because they're concerned. And I'm like, are they though? Or are they just like morbidly curious because you don't see that shit every day? And, you know, I just wonder if people are in denial. Anyway, getting back to, so normal people, I feel like, are squeamish about the idea of not having emotions, maybe, and maybe that put them off the movie. I don't know. And then on the flip side, I think some Schizoids will hate this movie because the main character does get emotions, and the whole point of the movie is, like, actually you need them. And so the Schizoids who are in denial of that, who sometimes pop up and, like, question me trying to heal, I think they will struggle with this. And I think if I had watched this maybe 20 years ago, I don't know. Because, like, on the one hand, there are things that past me would have been like, fuck yes. But on the other hand, the idea of emotions being important, I would have struggled with that probably when it came out. Although, was I completely schizoid by then? What is it? It came out in 2002, so that would have been early puberty for me. I don't know. It was probably, like, the next year that I was really, like, overt schizoid. So I could have scraped it in. I'm not sure. But, no, like, the whole thing, he starts off being, like, completely emotionless, brutally efficient, and there's so much that's relatable about that. Holy shit. Like, you know, it just brings me back, like, if I had watched it at the time, I think I probably would have, at least the beginning of the movie, I would have found super relatable, because I just did my work. I was good at maths and science. I think by the time I got to high school, I was doing a lot less art stuff. I was writing poetry though, because I was also dissociating at times, so, hard to say, but, like, my daytime existence was very much just, like, getting the work done, being as, like, perfect as possible, around the growing depression that I didn't know I had. There was a thought. Come back. My brain is like, well, okay, so I think some of it is also Glass Child. stuff. I know, like, there are some schizoids out there who don't have that drive to be kind of perfect and get 100% on their maths tests and then beat themselves up if they got 99% instead. I don't think I ever beat myself up, but I was just like, no, it's got to be 100. It's got to be 100 or it's not good enough kind of thing. And maybe that's also because of parental expectations. But I put a lot of expectations on myself. Anyway, good student shit. Probably a bit more of a glass child variant of schizoid, but whatever. Like, that's just, he's top of his class. And I'm like, I'm fucking top of my class, or I was. So there's that. And then, but I think as he discovers emotions, I would have struggled with that aspect of things. Like, even now, he plays, like, Beethoven on a vinyl thing, and, like, I can understand artistically where they're coming from, but I don't really feel much from Beethoven. But I know from other kinds of music I do get a catharsis. So, yeah, kind of a mixed bag there. But I think with the message, do we have to say it's a message? Just, like, with where the movie goes, he starts having more emotions. But here's the other relatable thing, is he has to fucking hide it all the time. And it's just like growing up and not being allowed to show, like, negative emotions and feeling like I couldn't show positive emotions, because if I had positive emotions but then they were followed by negative emotions, it's like the positive emotions would be put down. Stuff. And even Mum, I think Mum's mum did that to her. It's like, is that what intergenerational trauma is? Apparently it was my Japanese grandma who came up with the thing, or maybe it was her grandma before her, I don't know. But she's the one who told Mum that you just had a good time, you're not allowed to feel bad, and then that's been passed down to me. So then of course I can't feel anything good, because if I feel anything good, I'm not allowed to feel anything bad, and the bad feelings are the ones that really screw me up and, like, that I don't have control over. So why feel anything good? I don't know. I think there's some kind of subconscious logic. But I also have these memories of why is this coming up? There was some other thing, some other thought, and the past few days have been a lot because, Triton was sick, and there have been clear signs that I've been super anxious, but at the same time, I've been super detached from it. So it's like I can watch myself being super anxious, but then I have these moments of, like, I'm just getting through each stage of his illness as it comes along. Very bizarre. And then the maternal instinct thing, where it's just like I'm super tired, but somehow still functioning so that I can look after this dog. I am not in control of myself. And same with, like, making this video, I'm like, holy crap. But no, there was a passing thought, oh no, it's gone. God damn it. This is why I need to, like, not make videos impulsively. But if I don't make them impulsively, will I make them at all? And yes, like, look at my hair. My hair is different now. I guess this is me for now. So he's learning emotions. What was the thought? No, it's gone. If it comes back later, we'll just circle around to it, because it's not like my videos are well thought out or anything. Okay, so he's recovering. I'm recovering from having no emotions. And, he kind of makes a choice to start feeling, like, once he accidentally feels, then he makes the choice. I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm kind of doing that, because I know a lot of schizoids are very stubborn about not feeling, or, like, not trying to heal, not trying to, because, like, nothing's wrong with us, it's the world that's wrong, why should we change? But when you think about it logically, we are a social species. And, I mean, I guess if you're a schizoid and you don't experience depression, fine, you do you. But if you're one of us who does feel that depression and is conscious of that depression and everything sucks and everything's pointless, well, you can't change the world, can you? You can only change yourself. And keeping in mind that we evolved as a social species, maybe the emotions are actually important for something, even though it doesn't make a logical sense, it makes an emotional sense, like feelings don't care about facts. Yeah, it's hard though as a schizoid because you have to break through that kind of thing of being like, why are emotions important at all? Because like it doesn't make sense. But then I've been doing all this work and it's like, I think the sensory therapy really helped and like also having a dog, but just like it's nice to smell nice things and you're like, huh, there's something to this because that's not logical. Why should smelling nice things be good? Like it's so random, but I don't know, feelings don't make sense and you kind of have to accept that. And it does, like there's lines in the movie where he's talking to someone who has been charged for the crime of having feelings and she explains to him like, why are you alive? And he's kind of like, I live to keep the system going so we can live, or some kind of like circular logic thing. And it's like, and she's like, isn't that like you live just to stay alive? Like, isn't that pointless? Like, what makes it worthwhile is all the emotions. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm trying to understand that. And I think I kind of get it, but it's still a bit more of a logical thing for me. But like, I think sometimes also it's hard for me to recognize when I'm having emotions. I was going to talk about like I've had memories. Okay, why did the memories come up? I can't remember why, but I have had memories where I can almost pinpoint conscious moments as a kid where I pushed away emotions. And shit, I was having a conversation with someone about it at some point. Yeah, no, circling back to that, I have, and like I've had these memories on and off. It's just like to remember to talk about them is like for example, with relationships. Okay, for one thing, when I was young, I never really understood relationships anyway. But I remember having the thought, like, listening to sad songs on the radio, and it's always like, oh, this guy hurt me or whatever. And it's like, okay, I just won't get into a relationship and I won't get hurt, right? And so, like, that was a very early thought. Hard to say whether the lack of emotion came first though, because I was just like, why are relationships important anyway? But I definitely had that thought, and I think I've had other thoughts where it's like I was starting to feel something, and then I'm just like, no, I'm stronger than that, kind of shit. Wow, I am rambling. Yeah, I feel like I don't remember why I brought that up. I think. Oh, I sent someone some of the hilarious hate comments that I've gotten on my channel. Because, they're like, oh, I love how you just post all this random stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but here's the downside. And if I had emotions related to that, I probably wouldn't, like, you wouldn't want to be a vulnerable person being on YouTube and getting those hate comments and taking them too seriously. I don't take them seriously, especially when people are so dumb and like they haven't read the title or the description, or they completely misunderstood the exercise, and then they think they're insulting me when I already know that it wasn't meant to be a perfect thing anyway. Like, Anyway, the trolls go for they try and go for what they think is easy, and then when they realize that you're not that easy, they so far just disappear. Anyway, I sent that screenshot with like, why I wouldn't recommend everyone do the just posting random shit to YouTube thing, because if they do have feelings, it would be a struggle. And yeah, we ended up talking a little bit about schizoid personality disorder, and I was like, yeah, one of the criteria is literally like, praise and criticism doesn't affect you. And on the plus side, you don't feel shit when those trolls come along. It's actually kind of funny when the trolls come along. It's like, here's another game to play. But on the other hand, if people are actually being nice to me or complimenting me, I don't feel much there either. And actually, I can kind of be a bit suspicious. Like, instead of thinking that, oh, have I been sweating? Sorry. I don't know if that's a shadow or if that's sweat. Yeah, no, instead of just accepting the compliment or whatever, I think I tend to think, oh, they're just being polite or they just want something, and I don't like take it on board. And I was wondering, like, is that because if I think that someone's nice and then they disappoint me, it hurts? And so like if I just never like anyone anyway, I'll never be hurt kind of thing. Not necessarily a conscious process, at least not these days, but maybe in the past. Well, I don't know. I don't think I thought that much. It's probably unconscious. But it's just a kind of a thing to think about. Anyway, no, I have gone off topic. I've talked about too much schizoid stuff. But getting back to the movie. So, yeah, I think the like regular emotional people might not be able to relate to him having no emotions and the society having no emotions and just being like, no, emotions are bad. I think they struggle with that because they only see it as a disorder from the outside. They haven't seen the inside of like what that worldview is like. And I kind of get it. Like, you know, when fucking Doctor Who bring out the Cybermen and they're like, emotions, look, you've made these stupid mistakes. And I'm like, yeah, no, I can relate to that. Because people do dumb things with emotions. But anyway, no, and then, but yeah, on the schizoid side of things, if people are not willing to heal, they might not like where the movie goes. Okay, but like, oh, actually, this next bit might be a bit of a dissociation thing, and maybe that's why I'm making the video, really, because the dissociated parts of me kind of, I don't know, I feel like that's probably more the reason I'm making this, and I'm using the schizoid thing as kind of a cover. But hey, so there is spoiler, okay, because this is towards the very end, right? So he decides he's gonna take down the system, right? But in the process of doing that, he gets caught, but then he manages to turn it around, but then it turns out they knew anyway, so he gets caught again, and he kind of walks into a trap, and while he's in the trap, they've got him on a polygraph, which I know polygraphs are bullshit. You can manipulate it apparently by squeezing your butthole. Has something to do with like blood pressure or whatever. Anyway, pretend polygraphs are a legit thing, and you know, they're revealing that he has been duped, and yeah, he's accidentally, you know, given the resistance into their hands, and he's ruined everything. And you know, the people that he was into who have died for no reason, and his polygraph starts going as he gets more and more emotional. But then there's a moment where suddenly that everything stops and he's completely emotionless, I think is the implication, and the polygraph just goes dead, these dead straight lines. And that's when he goes into his, like, you know, his training as this crazy gunslinging, you know, Matrix level, pew, 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 and basically slaughters everyone in the room except the one dude who didn't have a weapon. And that moment, I think I kind of know what that feels like. That sort of going from that intense emotion to suddenly feeling nothing. I've had that. And I think I've had that recently as well, because like, I don't know if I should talk about the situation, but I was in a difficult situation and I had to sort of stand up for myself. And with my depression, like my depression has been getting harder to control over the years. And so like in the past, I would just stew on it. And like, this is why I've needed treatment, because it's like it was getting harder and harder and harder for me to hold all that negative emotion. Like, I may not feel positive emotions very much, or maybe not be able to recognize them, but the really like negative, depressed, that stuff really fucks me up. I can't, like, you know, I've gotten to a point where I can't push it away. I will have breakdowns, and that's been increasing over the past 10 years. And so yeah, but like in this particular situation where I had to stand up for myself, and I did the whole therapy thing of like, you know, going through things point by point, listening to the other person, stating my side of it, going through different things, stating my side without completely bulldozing theirs, and like that sort of like very step-by-step clinical thing. But I think the only way that I was able to do that is like at the start of the incident, I was getting into that real depressed, like that emotional state. And in the past, when that's happened, I have been completely useless, and I've just like sobbed and not been able to do anything. But in this particular situation, I don't know how it happened, but I distinctly remember something kind of just like switching me out of that, and it just made me think of this particular scene in the movie where he's getting super emotional, and then suddenly, bam, everything is flat. And I was able to, like, it was kind of difficult still, but I didn't have the emotions that I had been feeling. Like, they were kind of there, but they were super under control, and it was just like, and I was kind of surprised how well I kept that mode and I was able to talk about the things that I needed to talk about and go through things so logically. And yeah, I don't know, like it wasn't quite out of body dissociation level, I don't think, but it was very, in hindsight, like, yeah, kind of this strange thing. And so seeing that scene in the movie, I was like, holy shit, I know what that fucking is like. And like, with, I think the implication there is like his whole training as an emotionless assassin kind of matrix gunslinging whatever, like the whole, I think like their gun technique is based like, you have to have no emotions. It's all about calculating angles and probabilities and blah blah blah. And yeah, like, the emotions would only get in the way if they had them. They don't have them, they can just calculate blah blah blah. That's sort of like the bullshit explanation behind the magic karate, martial arts style thing. But you know what I mean? Yeah, and so like while he's emotional, it's like he can't really think about what he needs to do. But then as he gets angrier and angrier, suddenly something just, and there's no more emotions. It's just like, gonna kill all these people, and boo boo boo. And yeah, from there, he's just like a machine. Right up until the end, when he confronts the bad guy, and the bad guy tries to make him feel a feel, but then he feels the wrong feel, and pew! The other thing is, as well as that recent incident, I think I've had it other times before, but I've also had these dreams. Now, actually, this is probably where it's getting into some more dissociation stuff, but I have had these dreams where I've been in situations and, like, shit has hit the fan, and I just don't feel anything inside my dream. And, like, I think there's one situation, one dream where I got shot, and that was the end of it, and then I had that sort of weird, like, I'm dead sequence, but then, like, at the point where you should be dead, it's like things kind of stop and it's like, oh. And then do I wake up or do I go into another dream? I don't know. Very bizarre feeling. I've also had ones though where it's more of like a transformational thing and it's just like, actually no, that's more dissociation stuff. These are the dreams where I've been in some situation and they know that, or not necessarily, sometimes they know that there's some kind of threat out there. Other times they have no clue, and the whole time I've spent my energy like trying not to snap, and then I will snap and turn into whatever it is. And it's not good for anyone. I guess it's kind of similar to this, but it's kind of off the schizoid point, because he goes from like, having these human emotions to this like brutal killing machine, which I guess you would call a monster, and even though he's got a worthwhile pursuit, but he does kill an awful lot of people. And yeah, just not feeling anything about the killing. Anyway, what? Schizoid blah blah. Gosh, this is gonna have to be uploaded tomorrow, and what am I gonna think of it in the morning when my brain has reset? Yeah, no, I think some of it's getting into more of the dissociation stuff. And that was the other thing. If I didn't make this video, I think I was going to dissociate anyway and hopefully make it to bed before I break anything. I've been pretty good about that, though. I usually make it to bed and then I just sort of like, and then fall asleep because it's exhausting. I haven't broken anything in a while. I haven't drawn anything crazy in a while either. Anyway, so movie made me think a lot of things and feel some feels. Maybe not the feels I was supposed to feel, but it's like, hey, I know what that feels like. And like the whole thing about trying to have emotions again and then trying to hide that you're having emotions. But yeah, no, and trying to heal from stuff and like the difference between not having emotions and then learning to have emotions again. I think like obviously the main character had a more intense experience of that because his emotions were blunted by chemicals and mine's blunted by trauma, and you don't just suddenly get all those emotions back. I'm better at looking like I have emotions than I am at actually feeling the emotions or being conscious of the emotions or whatever. Even the fact that, like, the whole thing with my dog, obviously I care about him a lot, but I don't have like a really strong feeling, like, what does it feel like to care about something? I still don't really know what that feeling means. I just know that I must have it because of observing the way that I act and the things that happen. Like, there are signs in my body that I must be stressed. And maybe that's where these mouth ulcers are coming from. Like, maybe it actually is stress and I'm just not entirely aware of everything that stresses me out. But then again, there have been moments where I've been super stressed and they didn't come up. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's a different emotion that triggers them, or maybe it's something completely else because I did try going on fucking antivirals and that didn't work either. So, yeah, no, having a mental illness, that distorts your perception of things like this, it's so hard to figure out. And, like it feels like I'm still, if taking the movie, it's like I'm still kind of on that drug, but maybe it's on a lower dose rather than completely losing the drug. Like, what happens if these people only take half a dose? Do they have only half the feelings? Maybe that's where I'm at. Maybe it's like, for me, the dose is slowly coming off, but mostly it's the negative emotions I feel. At the moment, I'm sort of reaching a stable neutral most of the time. Have I had any negative emotions since before the gig? Before I did have some, after I got the gig, but since, once I got that gig 3 months ago, once I knew I had the gig, which I will post videos, that was 2 weeks ago and I still haven't posted anything from it, and people did send me videos, so... Anyway, what am I rambling about? I haven't really had too many negative emotions lately. Does that mean I've had positive emotions? I really tried to enjoy the gig and be excited and stuff. I think mostly I felt nervous, but it went well. And then I haven't had my usual depression crash, so that is good. But on the other hand, when I think about it, if I'm not having negative emotions, what emotions am I having? Am I having emotions, or am I just back to this sort of neutral? I don't know. I feel like I'm doing better, but then when you ask me what... most of the time I've just been tired. Oh no, what if I'm not having emotions? What if I'm just in a neutral state? Because if you ask me to describe, what are some good emotions I've had, I don't know if I could describe them. And I'm making so much progress though. Or is it just that I'm trying to, interact with people more and, logic my way through things? This is what's really fucked up about the whole schizoid thing and trying to heal from it. It's I don't know. I look like I'm making progress, but when you dig deep into the, what I'm actually feeling, I don't know, because I don't know, when I look at other people, I can tell that they're having some intense emotions. When people get angry, I don't think I experience anger, because watching how extreme people get, I don't feel anything that would make me that level of, I don't know, it's just, I know I can get really very upset. But apart from that, I don't know. I'm so confused. Anyway, fucking Equilibrium, I think it was a good watch. And maybe it's interesting if you're in a similar position where you're trying to heal from something like schizoid personality disorder. I don't know. And then, the gigantic schizoid ego being yeah, I have no emotions. I could totally shoot up the place like a Matrix man. Yeah, there's a bit of, I'm sure, younger me. No, my brain still thinks that. I'm just a little bit more sensible and in denial now. It's just that moment where he stops having the emotions and suddenly he's Superman again. And I'm yeah, that's how it works. That's totally schizoid logic. That is how it works. If I have no emotions, I can do anything. It's not realistic, but it's the brain thinking, yeah, because I don't know, schizoid, at least trauma-based schizoid, what I have, it's definitely a defense mechanism. The more I think about it, and I'm sure if I was not super tired and hyped up on dissociation and post-movie vibes, I kind of absorb movies, especially if they're relatable, and then my brain... no, I'm doing a good job of not being emotionless murderer kind of but my brain is sort of trying to absorb that as well, and so I'm trying not to go too deep into that. Anyway, what am I talking about? Yeah, having to hide. It's too relatable. The movie's too relatable, and that's why my brain is like kind of excitable. Am I excited? That's an emotion. See, maybe I can feel a bit of excitement. There's a little bit, I think. I think I'm acting more excited than what I actually feel, but that's probably a sign that I actually am more excited than I think I am, right? Anyway, that's a late night brain dump of, I don't know, stream of consciousness, whatever. And hopefully I got enough of it out of my head that I can stop thinking about it, go and get ready for bed, and get on with my life in the morning. I don't even know. Oh, if I think about my life too much, I'm gonna dissociate in that other, what is it? Probably derealization type dissociation as opposed to sense of self dissociation. Um, that's a whole other thing though. It's just like life is just weird. It just like days keep happening and I keep managing to fill them with things. And then I have like little goals that I'm working towards, but in the end, does any of it mean anything? Is there any point to it? Not really. But I keep doing it anyway, and it's making my life better, but life is still meaningless. This is trying to get through the schizoidy stuff and whatever else is going on with me. It's a mindfuck if I think about it too much. It's like, why am I doing anything? And like, just days keep passing, and they tend to pass slowly, especially if I have to nap. And then it's like, how many naps is this day worth? Holy shit. Yeah, if I think about it too much, life is still very, very strange. By the way, I am working on an EP that's like to do with schizoid trauma stuff, so maybe I should add that to the list of things to write about. I don't know, it could turn into a full album if I have too many ideas. I'm gonna try and keep it in an EP, because I'll probably forget about this by the time I actually get up to it. I have an art submission due in 3 weeks, and all my bonsai, I need to sort a bunch of them out before summer, and it's just like, when am I going to finish writing this music? When am I going to do my vlogs, apart from like these impulse things? Oh, life is so weird. Oh, and post-movie vibes is so weird, and like trying not to dissociate, and yeah. No, I just keep thinking about that scene where he suddenly stops feeling and just does the thing again. And I'm like I have this idea that if I was ever in some really difficult situation where you needed to not feel too much and just get it done, I feel like I could do it. And maybe that's why things like schizoid evolved. So like, yeah, everything's shit until you need someone who can just shut off all the feelings. But I'm very risk averse, so I don't end up in those situations anyway. It's just like, if it happened, but you would have to care enough to get through it, wouldn't you? So like, I can get through my dog's vet treatments. He was at the vet every day except Friday and today, because it's Sunday at that time I'm filming it. And yeah, it's just like every day, take him back to the vet. I did worry, like, the couple days I had to leave him at the vet, and I think I must have been super anxious, but I was also detached from the feeling of anxiousness. And then the next day, another thing, gotta take him again. And then now he's doing better. And it's like, okay, now what do I do with my life? I guess I will go to bed. I don't know, it does my fucking head in. Just trying to, if I think about it too much, I'm just gonna sit here for ages and be like, what is life? And the problem with watching movies is my brain, and like, I'm reading book too. It's a little bit annoying at times, but the fantasy world at least is okay, and I think my brain is starting to get into some strange places again. And that's one of the reasons I stopped with the fantasy, because my brain can get a little bit... But then the real world's so boring. I'm running to bed. I'm sorry. I'll shut up. Bye. No, wait. One more thing. I'm sorry. Paper vampire, laugh at me. I got so carried away in all the like schizoid relatable shit. There is a scene. Where puppies get shot, and it's like, of all the feelings I don't have, if you hurt puppies, I'm coming to shoot you all too. That's another super relatable bit. One of the like key moments where he has his, like, you know, he's going through these emotions and he's trying to like just make it through and not feel too much, but then they start shooting puppies, and then one jumps into his arms and he's like, shit, no, can't shoot that puppy, and the puppy makes it through. But I'm just like, any movie, oh, that's probably the worst part of the movie is when they kill puppies. But at least they save the one, and it's the one that gives him the most feelings. Or at least, like, you know, seems to be kind of a turning point. And I'm just like, yep. I have always, like, you know, I've been numb for, like, so much of my life. But when there's puppies involved, my puppies. I struggle, like, you know, I think there was a period of time when I was really young, I was actually kind of scared of dogs. But then, you know, oh, this goes into a whole other thing. Okay, remind me to talk about puppies and Pokemon and Digimon and like all these kinds of shows. Because that's kind of an interesting thing. It's probably the closest, like, you know, I think when I was younger I had a bit of loneliness, but shuts off with, I think I replaced it with all those things, basically, short version. But no, puppies, I don't remember, like, you know, wow, I'm so tired. I'm wasting so much time. Oh my god, my poor brain. But yeah, no, I don't know what. I didn't really care about the fish that we had. Dad looked after our goldfish and he managed to keep them going for like 7 or 8 years. It was crazy. I didn't even know goldfish could live so long. But then guinea pigs, cute. And then I think like, was it 1 year later? Yeah, maybe it was. Or maybe, I don't know. Then we got puppy, and yeah, I mean, like, I was at school a lot, but when I finished school and I first quit uni and I started spending more time with my Labrador, I think that's when our relationship got a bit stronger. And then, of course, Hope, who's my soul dog. I'm still wearing this. Look, signs of emotions. I think it's like, you know, most days it's kind of a habit, but I also, like, can't let go of it just yet. Getting there, I think I'm getting closer, because, like, my relationship with Triton's better, and maybe enough time has passed, but look at that! That's emotions, guys! Emotions! Sort of. Yeah, no, like, I had a really strong relationship with Hope, although, when I think about it, a lot of it was, you know, as his medical issues got worse, and then I got more and more attached to him, I think there's a little bit of, like, a trauma thing there. And yeah, anyway, no, but like, we connected when I first got him in a way that I didn't quite connect with Triton getting him, and maybe I've just been through so much that my emotions about dogs have changed. But I remember there was a period of time early on where like I was into like anyone's dogs, but these days it's gonna be my dog. I if people send me their dog photos, I'm sorry, I don't feel anything for your dog. Yeah, so I guess in some ways I feel more, and in some other ways I feel less. Anyway, to wrap it up, so I'm gonna have to edit this onto the rest of the other video. But yeah, that part was also super relatable, where like, you know, I was like, oh no, they're killing all the puppies, and he better not let them kill that puppy, and then he doesn't let them kill the puppy, and I'm like, okay, great. But yeah, that whole thing of like, okay, I don't have many emotions, but if you come for my puppies, I'm gonna shoot you all up too. And I have been shooting, even though I'm Australian, you can go shooting in Australia, and apparently, I don't know, it was a long time ago, and my hand's still steady, but they wanted me to take up shooting as a sport, and I'm like, yeah, that would be a bad idea. But let's not talk about that, because it gets a little bit fucked up. the level to which, yeah, no, anyway, I'm seriously, I'm going to bed. Bye, 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 before I have any more thoughts. I just needed to add the puppy thing on, especially because I put in the community tab and things I posted on Facebook, and it's like, yeah, a lot of the time I don't have emotions, but when it comes to my pets, and I guess that's some of that maternal instinct, yeah, maybe. The maternal instinct is very subconscious, I gotta say. It's not like I spend ages thinking about it. It's just like, action. I'm doing the thing, and mum's like, yeah, this is what she went through with us kids as well, is it just kind of kicks in. And because I don't have kids of my own and I have no desire to have human children, I guess my biology has completely projected it onto my dogs. Yeah. And it's crazy. Like, maternal instinct is a hell of a drug, I have to say. I don't know what it's like for men. But like, I've heard of things where, I don't know if it's true, but like women have lifted heavy things to save their kids. And I don't know, in my case, it's just like there was one night I slept 3 hours and I was still functioning the next day, to look after my dog. Maybe not functioning at my peak, but I was able to do everything I needed for him. And then 5 hours of sleep the next night, and 5 hours of sleep the next night. And then I finally had a migraine right as he was getting better. So the moment that he's fine, my body's like, oh, we can relax, and it can all catch up to me. And yeah, that was a really hard 2 days of migraine. It's the worst migraine I've had for months. And yeah, I almost caved and took the migraine meds, which fucked me up. But thankfully this morning it was mostly gone. And I need to get to bed so I don't have another fucking migraine. I'm going. I'm sorry. I'm stop rambling. I'll chuck this in the editor to stitch them together, and then serenity now, insanity later. Bye bye. Yeah, so this is just a quick bit of decoy footage so I can chuck my cards up, which apparently you can hide now these days, but I thought if they turn up while I'm talking, you'll know the video is definitely over, and maybe I should just keep you guessing. Anyway, I'm seriously going to bed now. I'm just distracting myself.